Hello. This is Tiffany with Healthy Passions. If you do not know me, let me briefly introduce myself. I am a certified personal trainer, certified wellness coach, certified energy healer. By birth, I am an oracle, prophetess, and a natural healer. Today, we're going to finish off some of our types of witchcraft series, and I thought it was very appropriate since we did blood magic last week to go ahead and couple that this week with love magic. The reason being, a lot of people use the blood magic to enhance the love magic, which causes some issues, which I'm going to go ahead and state in this video so you guys can be aware or fully aware of the possibilities of what types of danger love magic can bring, right? This one is very, very popular. The people talk about doing this lightheartedly, like it's not a big deal, and that it's just something easy to do to get somebody to like you and all this stuff. But there are very, very real dangers in love magic. And I want to kind of get you guys aware of that. Now, just like in all these other videos, I just want to give you enough information to inform you, not necessarily to research, but you can research yourself, but just to inform you, to kind of give you a start of where to start, but not going into too much detail because I just don't have enough time to do that. Also, I teach against witchcraft, and the reason why I teach against it is because it violates spiritual law and free will, and that is a huge violation on the planet. Like that is a universal violation. We cannot violate someone's free will. Even the Most High God, who the world calls God, does not violate free will. So it is a bold statement, a bold action to do when you are willing to go against spiritual law that that we all go by in the universe to accomplish something like this. So let's get started. Let's talk about what love magic is and a little bit of its history, just what it is exactly. Okay, so love magic refers to the practice of using magical means to influence romantic relationships. It often involves binding the passions of another through various methods such as spellwork, charms, love potions, and rituals. Historically, love magic has been practiced for centuries with roots in ancient spells and folk traditions aimed to attracting or deepening emotional connections. The exact definition can vary, but generally encompasses efforts to start, preserve, or end relationships through magical practices. The second definition would be attempts to coerce, control, or manipulate others through magic frequently incur metaphysical backlash. Okay, so if this is like a little warning, so I'm going to read that again. Attempts to coerce, control, or manipulate others through magic frequently incur metaphysical backlash. Matters of the heart should include positive, enduring outcomes, rely on free choice and respect and nuance. And that I fully agree. All right, so the first part of this is love magic is unethical. Okay, so there's an unethical side of it. Now, if you have two consenting adults, that's different. We're talking about one person coercing or controlling or manipulating another one to fall in love with them. So that's what we're going to stick on topic. So let's go with the unethical side of love magic. Casting spells to force someone's affection against their true feelings is an issue with that. That's why it's unethical, right? Binding spells that trap someone in a relationship, that is very common as well. You will see where you have a married couple and one spouse wants to stay together and the other one wants to leave. They will do binding spells and manipulate energy to make sure that they try to keep that person trapped in that relationship or marriage. And that is very wrong. My golden rule is if someone wants to go, let them go. You never know the reason why they need to go. Maybe your time is up with them. And maybe the Most High is telling them to leave. Maybe it's just something that wasn't meant to be in the first place and it just isn't working out. Whatever the case may be, go ahead and let that person go and deal with a broken heart. Deal with hurt feelings because that lasts a lot less than the consequences of doing love spells and breaking spiritual law. Okay, that was my recommendation and my suggestion. All right, so potions that artificially induce desire or loyalty. So it's very dangerous. You don't know exactly the consequences of the potions that you're giving someone. The ingredients, that person could be allergic to it. You could possibly harm or delete someone unknowingly or accidentally by them being allergic to some of the ingredients in the potion, let alone a lot of times they're putting in bodily fluids. That is nasty. That's the part of witchcraft I don't understand is the filthiness of it. It's very dark. The filthiness of it. It's disgusting to put bodily fluids in someone's potions, drinks, or food. All right. And that's the part I never will understand. But it's just really gross. All right, so let's go to the next one. Working workings that impose or our romantic will into unwilling participants. Right. So, like I said before, this could be someone having a crush on someone, and because you have a crush on them, you want to force them to like you back, and that's unethical. They let them like you on their own free will. Matter of fact, just introduce yourself. If they don't like you, they don't like you. If they do, they do. Then work it out from there. You never know what could be accomplished just by approaching someone and letting them know how you feel. Or another situation would be you had a crush on someone and you told them how you feel and they don't return the affection or the same mutual feeling. So now a lot of people go and try to force that person to like them. And that's wrong as well. Let people make their own decisions, okay? Thank you. It's simple as that. All right. Um, all listed above violate consent no matter how well intended. Attempting to control another for your own gratification reflects immaturity and distorted views of healthy relationships or healthy relating. Okay, so there's an issue in there somewhere. So whether you need to get mental help, a therapist, work out some unhealed trauma, whatever the case may be, to force someone to care about you is there is a mental disorder or a mental problem with that. It's not normal to have that kind of thought. You might want to work on this. What is the source of you feeling the need to do a love spell or force somebody into a love spell, and then going to the source and healing that. That way you won't be tempted to force someone to care about you. Also, there's a form of, not a form, but definitely a desperation in that, which is probably the reason why the person rejected you in the first place. When humans sense desperation, we tend to run from that, or we tend to shy away from that. So that sense of desperation may be the reason why that person is rejecting you in the first place. So you want to heal those things, right? All right. I called I call this a violation of free will, which is a serious offense to universal spiritual laws. You are playing God by trying to force your will onto others, especially without their consent or knowledge. That is my take on love magic, blood magic, all these types of spell work. All right. And you don't have to agree with me, but it is what it is. Okay. The universe agrees with me as far as universal law. Who created universal law? The Most High Yah created universal world law, who the world calls the creator, right? Or God, he created universal law. So if you violate that, you're violating him and his rules as well. So you can't be a Christian witch practicing love language. It's love magic. It's very weird. It's giving not the same thing. One contradicts the other. Okay, sorry about that. I get kind of sidetracked because I'm kind of passionate against people trying to use love spells. I've had someone try to do this to me before, and it sucks really bad, and it's hard to break. So I feel a type of way. All right. So let's do potential dangers of love spells. Number one, recipients may feel violated or experience false emotions not genuinely their own. Number two, black backlash. When when a spell warns or wears off can be traumatic. Okay, that's an issue. So backlash when a spell wears off can be traumatic. Withdrawal of affection breeds obsession behavior or excessive behavior. Okay, that's one of the big issues. We'll come back to that. Number three, external magic doesn't resolve internal self esteem issues. Okay, we just talked about that. External magic doesn't resolve internal self esteem issues or build real rapport. Shortcuts inhabit maturity. Okay, inhibit, not inhabit, but inhibit. Shortcuts inhibit maturity, so you don't get to mature that relationship over time. You don't grow in that. You don't gain real rapport with that person, a true connection when you use these type of methods. All right. Number four, repeated failed attempts often worsen depression or resentment at the manifest met at excuse me resentment at not manifesting an idea romanticized. All right, right. So let's read that again because I think I read it wrong. I wrote this a while back when I was doing the research, so y'all have to forgive me. Sometimes it's hard to read my handwriting. Um, repeated failed attempts often worsen depression or resentment, right? At not manifesting an idealized romance, all right? That makes sense. Number four was that. All right, number five, viewing others as objects to control poisons the spell caster's spirit through ends justify means rationalization. Okay, yeah, get it. All right, so let me read that again. Viewing others as objects to control poisons the spellcaster's spirit through ends justify means rationalization. So that makes sense. That's what I was saying before. That's a very narcissistic trait, and for you to actually think of doing it and then actually getting the materials to do it and then going through with it is very narcissistic. It pushes you up more on the realm of narcissistic. All right, so just a thought. Remember, genuine love flows from free choice, not suppression of autonomy. Thank you. Why love spells backfire. All right, that's where we're going to start next. Give me a moment. I want to pause the video while I get my notes together. Pick up where we left off. I am back. I got my notes together here. It says, why love spells backfire. Number one, attempting to coerce love magically often backfires because forced change defiles authentic human emotion and timing. All right. Number one, if you can't make someone genuinely love you, if the chemistry, okay, sorry about that. You can't make someone genuinely love you if the chemistry and feelings aren't innately there. So if they're not originally there and you try to force it through magic, you can't make someone feel something that they don't already genuinely feel. All right. Number two, even if a spell manifests a relationship, the dynamics may remain superficial without real rapport. It's not going to ever turn out the way you wanted it to be. The way that you romanticized it in your mind, if you force someone against their free will, coerce them into a relationship, it's never going to be what you want. It's either going to be too much or too little. It could be somewhere in between, all right? And like I said, it gets dangerous over time. So we'll get into that once we get closer to that part of the message. All right, so number three, the fabricated feelings created through manipulative spells tend to be um, like tend to be surface level. Like they don't really go deep. All right, they're informal. They're like superficial. They don't go deep like a real love relationship would go. All right, number four. What we resist tends to persist. What we resist tends to persist. Trying to force love against nature tends to push it further away. Over time, that is exactly what happens. All right. Five. Yeah, and another way to say that is whatever you chase tends to run away as well. That's why you don't try too hard. You want to attract things to you, not chase after them necessarily because it's going to go away from you. So that's another universal law that you may want to look into. Right. Number five. Any short term gains, often sour as manipulated affection, breeds resentment. Any short term gains, often sour as manipulated affections, breeds resentment. I had to slow that down. So, for the practitioner that is trying to do love magic, I don't think you understand how the person that you're imposing it on actually feels. It is like at some point, if they're able to have successfully do it, they can't control their feelings and thoughts, and then their spirit starts to fight against the spell work, and that's where the resentment comes in, and that later turns into hatred to where they don't want nothing to do with you. It's been many, many times when someone put someone else under a love spell, that resentment grew so bad that they became obsessive and started stalking them, following them. They didn't want them to go anywhere. I've seen it to where the person who did the love spell can't even go to the bathroom without that person getting jealous, thinking someone's in the restroom. They have no privacy. So it never turns out the way that you want it to do. And then once they feel like they can't control it, and they don't and they want to stop being around the person that put the love spell on them, resentment grows. And then a lot of times when we see these couples falling out like that, that's the result of coming out of or trying to free themselves from a love spell. So when they delete their partner, you want to look at the details and see if that person was under a love spell. A lot of times they were. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. It's the long way around to get to where I was trying to get to. All right, so obsession spells. So these are a little different. They're considered under the love spell category, but they are a little different and very, very dangerous. So I decided to give them their own little section on this video. So obsession spells, sinister and ultimately make you miserable. That is the first thought that comes to these obsession spells. Number two, all are all of this affection spell are black magic and can be deadly. I've discussed that. You can lose your life playing around with love spells and obsession spells, especially those who combine love spells and obsession spells together, thinking that it would make that person hopelessly in love with them. No, it'll make them attack you and you could possibly lose your life. All right, so people exposed for obsession spells become insane and develop obsessive attachments. People exposed to obsession spells become insane and develop obsessive attachments. That's what we were discussing. All right. So if you cast an obsession spell on a person you love, they will love you, but it will be a treacherous love for the both of you. The person under the spell will become extremely paranoid and irritably jealous. All right. And as a result of the spell, they will want to own you and despise the thought of you being owned by someone else. Hear me out and hear me good. They will want to own you and despise the thought of you being owned by someone else. That's the issue. Okay. When under an obsession spell, people are susceptible to behaving aggressively. Such people under this type of spell use violence against their lovers, competitors, and themselves. So not only are you putting yourself and your own life at risk, you're putting competitors, people that you want to potentially move on to and date, in danger, and also the person that you put the spell on, they become a danger to themselves. So a lot of times when you see a person that's really obsessively in love with someone and they commit suicide because that person left them, it's probably a love or obsession spell. So these are the things that you're causing. You may not have intended to do that, but that's eventually what they all go into. That's why we're warned not to do obsession or love spells very clearly, or blood magic. And then on top of that, people are doing the triple threat. They're doing blood magic, they're doing blood magic, love magic, and obsession on one person. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. Okay? You're probably going to drive that person to insanity. And once they get to that point, there's no telling what they are going to be capable of doing to you. Okay? It's wrong on every end. All right. So remember that people that are targeting, excuse me, people that are targeting may have a strong protection around them and will prevent your spell work from working. Once it doesn't work, it will backfire on the caster. So this is another point. So it's separate from the one before. All right. So some people, there's some exceptions to the rules. Remember that some people that are that you may be targeting have a strong protection around them, and it will prevent the spell from working. We deal with this when we see very strong individuals that have a spiritual protection. We call them chosen ones, right? A lot of times the elect and chosen ones, the remnant within the remnant, have this type of protection, and it is very dangerous to cast spells on us, even though people are tempted to do it all the time. It is dangerous to cast spells on us because it will repel off of us or jump off of us, won't even affect us. It would only affect us to the point to where we know someone's doing something. And not only do we know someone's doing something, we know who is doing it, right? Because the Holy Spirit will let us know. We always know who as well. And they they will do these dangerous types of magic, and we know that it's not going to affect us, but they don't know that. And a lot of times it backfires to the person that is casting it, and they end up with all the adverse effects. They end up with all the oh, they end up with the negative effects of the magic being sent to them, which is dangerous in itself, because a lot of times these practitioners think that we are practicing magic back, so they feel justified on attacking us like completely, repeatedly, over and over again. They think that we are doing spell work, and we are literally not doing spell work. Our Father teaches against spell work. That is something that we are heavily against. We don't practice spell work, but they think that we do, because a lot of times what they put on us backfires to them automatically. Because if you send a curse to someone unjustifiable, it won't stick for the most part, right? That is a universal law. So you must be careful and know who you are casting a spell on. And that's where people fail to do the research. They use their emotions or their jealousy or their envy against you to justify what they are doing, and a lot of times they don't realize that they have a very screwed perception of you, and it's just not true. And you're not the bad person that they think you are, trying to make you out to be, to justify what they are doing. And therefore, in those cases, it's really sad. I've seen it with my own eyes that the magic or the spell work that they're doing goes back to them, and it hits them pretty hard. Or if they summon a demonic entity to do that bidding for them, and that demonic entity sees that this person is covered by or sealed by the Most High, they will come back, and they will come back angry, and they will attack the practitioner. I've seen it one time to where a witch sent one in my room in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. I woke up, I seen two entities come into my wall, and once they saw me, they looked and they turned around and went right back out. And that something happened to the person that sent the two demonic entities the very next day. They were not happy. They were upset that she sent them to someone that's heavily protected, and because it harms them, it makes them angry, right? So you have to be careful with that. You need to know the background and the spiritual authority of the person that you are trying to attack. And that's a lot of times that's not what people do. They don't look at the spiritual authority. They think, you're nice, you're a meek person, that you don't have the spiritual authority that you do. Most of us that are considered nice, or that they feel like they can get over on, a lot of us have very, very heavy, strong spiritual authority. And we have abilities, and we're very spiritual, and we're deep. So we also know we have very strong intuition. And a lot of people don't take that into account when they do spell work on us. And we know it. We just look at you do it and just be like, dang, you shouldn't have done that. Like, we feel bad for you, because we're just like, if you're desperate enough to do that, that's sad, because all it's gonna do, we know for a fact, all it's gonna do is go back to you. We don't have to do return to senders. We don't have to do nothing. Some people are that highly protected, and you need to be very careful. All right. Thank you, Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit reminded me that the remnant of the remnant. Okay, so everyone in the house of Israel that's within the covenant has a guardian angel, right? Every single one of us has our own individual one. But the ones that have a higher calling, that are in the remnant of the remnant, they have a bigger mission. We have three. So not only do we have one um, um, guardian angel that's highly capable of protecting us our whole life, we have three. So whatever angle you hit us at, they will come. I've seen it to where mine three will be there, and then I'll feel two leave, and a couple of hours later or even the next day they'll come back, and I feel it when they come back. They warn me through rings in my ear when they come back, and they'll tell me straight up, like, we went to go fight something, somebody said to you, and then we'll come back. If it's just one that needs to go, two will stay. No, well, no matter the issue, you'll always have one with you, possibly two, but the other two will go fight if they send. Like, I've seen it where two went when it was death magic sent, okay, or something heavy like that. They may have to go to two different directions. They may have to go fight together, whatever the case may be. They don't give me the details on that. I just know when they go and leave, and when they come back, I'll be like, "Was it spell work?" And they be like, "Yeah," and that's just how it is. So, but one stays with me all the time, even when the other two leave. Okay, just want to put that out there. I know I'll be getting off, but I'm giving y'all as much information as I know to give you, to get you guys to understand why not to do these things. All right. So remember that people that are remember that remember that people that are targeting may that you are targeting may have strong protection around them, and that will prevent your spell work from working. Once it doesn't work, it will backfire on the caster. That happened to the person that I was researching this to, and the person that casted the spell on her almost lost. Okay, so there was a person that did it to her. Like, she's had experience with someone doing this, and she said that that person lost his mind and then became very depressed. He got hit hard while she was never affected, and that happens all the time, and we talk about it all the time. Humans talk about this all the time. We talk about the severe consequences we see from people who attack us, especially if they're doing it behind closed doors and spell work. And it's never nothing nice. It gets so bad sometimes that I ask the Most High to just stop showing me what's happening with certain people, because they went so far, and when the consequences come back, it's very severe. It gets really dark sometimes. So just know that and be warned before you try to cast it on someone. You need to know who you're attacking, right? Because when the Most High says don't touch one of his anointing, that's exactly what he means. I've seen numerous, more than one, over and over again, fall by making themselves the enemy of God by attacking me unjustifiably. I've seen so many. I've seen people lose their life. Right, guys, I do apologize if there is a long pause. I realized once I returned the second time that the mic had turned off, and I was like, oh no. So you might have a minute or two of silence, but it's good because I was going to do a part two, but it's not necessary.